Welcome to this episode of the Metric Bobber Build, where we are taking this 1980 Honda CB650 and turning it into a hardtail bobber. And then when it's done, we're giving it away to one of you guys. But to qualify, you need to go to this link right here and help support the series. For as little as $1 per video, you can qualify to win this bike. And also the winner of the bike also gets a full set of speed and strength riding gear. Yeah, and I also want to thank Tucker.com for sponsoring this series. They're giving me most of the parts for this bike, so hats off to them. Now in the last video, you guys remember I did a thing where I was having you tell me which gas tank you like the best. Number 1, number 2, or number 3. Let's check out the results. Alright, so with 138 comments at this time, gas tank number 1 had 48 votes, number 2 had 11 votes, and number 3 had 58 votes. So it was fairly close between 1 and 3, with 3 coming out on top. And then I asked my Patreons, the guys that are actually paying money to help support this series, what they thought between 1, 2, and 3. And number 1, overwhelmingly 11 to 4. I personally could go either way, but I think I'm going to save gas tank number 3 for my next build. I'm going to build probably a cafe bike. I also did a poll on Patreon and asked people what should be my next build, and overwhelmingly it was a cafe bike. So today we're at the Fab Shop. The bike's already here. I'm waiting for Christian, and we got the hardtail on, VooDoo Vintage Hardtail. One thing I meant to mention about that hardtail, which is very cool, it makes the bike about 3 3/4 inches longer, and I think the drop was like 2.5 inches. So longer, lower, perfect. I'm also going to have to lower down the forks. I'm working with progressive suspension on that. In today's video, I'm going to get the back fender all dialed in, mounted up. I got the tank, I got the seat, I got some other stuff going on. It's going to be a pretty busy day in the shop today. I'm hopefully going to get a lot done. That's my goal. You guys were really awesome about commenting on my last video about the gas tanks. What I want to hear from you in this video, what kind of bike would you want me to build next? My choices are like a street fighter bike, cafe bike, just like a tricked out sport bike, and whatever else you think of. What kind of bike would you go to Patreon to support if I was to build? And just leave a comment below and let's see what people say. All right, let's get into the shop and get busy. So as you can see, this gas tank is kind of far back from the triple clamp here, which is kind of forcing the seat back too far toward the rear end here. So what I'm probably gonna have to do is modify these right here, get this gas tank up nice and close, and it looks like I can gain about like 1.5 inches, because I want the springs to come straight down from this post here onto this right here. I think the first thing we're going to do today is get the fender struts all dialed in, so let's dig into that. I already have this bracket right here. It needs to be welded up, but it's going to be right here. I have another one that's going to go in down here. I'll put in another cross member here for it to mount to. We're going to have a battery box down here, and we're going to have some other cool stuff going on here. This right here, this is an old chain. I just wrapped it on the tire. This is pretty common to do when you're building bikes like this. You just lay the chain on the back tire and it gives you like this perfect spacing for your fender. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shorten this fender. I don't like how long it is. I want it to be about right here. So I'm gonna have to cut some of this off because it's already hitting the ground here. So I'm gonna trim off about 6 inches. Then we'll get this thing right where we want it. All right, so check this out. I have this oil tank here, but it's actually made to hold the electronics. And so I'm gonna weld the tab to the frame, bolt this to the frame. This is like, looks like the old school V-twin oil tanks, but it's not gonna hold no oil. So this will pop right in here, like that. And then this strap here, it'll bolt to this strap, and the strap will weld to the frame. So let's tack this in place. All right, so I moved the gas tank as far forward as I could, about a 1 inch gap right here. I'll put in, I'll mount some new brackets here for the front. Got this clamp down here. These will be for the seat springs, pretty cool. They'll go right there. And then if I put the seat as far forward to the tank as I can, this clamp's in the way a little bit. I got about another 3/4 of an inch I can go forward. Then if I take the, I went with a 4-inch spring for more height here and more suspension action. That'll go there, that'll go there. That'll be just like that. But like I said, the seat will go forward a little bit more to take up that gap to get these springs straight up and down. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna tack these in place. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Okay, I got these cool bullet looking turn signals. I think what I'm gonna do is just weld a tab on the bottom of the frame here with a hole in it and pop these right here. Not in the way of welding this up, not in the way of that, so right there. I don't want them to be too low down here. Kind of want them to be a little bit higher. I don't want them to be on top because it's less attractive, so I think right there too. All right, so now I have this cool license plate bracket. It's got a mount here for the light. This right here is gonna just slide over the axle. So we just put that on the axle like that, and then just put the nut on. I can't tighten this down just yet though, because I need to make a new spacer to go in here. So we'll do that next time. But there's that bracket. I'll bring the light down too. We can get that on. All right, guys, that is a wrap for this session. Let's do a quick overview of what we got done today. So we got the mounts here for the seat. We got this oil tank here that's going to be used for the electronics. Got the back fender all mounted up. Just everything's just tack welded for now. Don't want to weld everything together yet. Got a brace here. Got a brace down here. Got a cross member here. We're going to build a battery box that's going to go in here. For now, this is the gas tank we're using. We'll readjust this to fit. Get the seat in here with the springs. Now, one thing I am going to do with this bike is I'm going to lower the front end about 3 inches. I don't know if you can tell, but the bike's kind of going up in the front, kind of like a chopper. It makes the bike feel a little bit funny when you turn. So we're going to figure out a way to get that done. Yeah, and then we got the blinkers done here. Looks good. Got the bracket here. We'll get that tightened down. That was some really good progress for today. I'm stoked. So anyways, guys, don't forget if you want this bike, patreon.com/motopilot. Thanks for taking time out of your day to watch, and we'll see you guys next episode.